Hey everybody, it's Zach again at newtutorial.com. We're coming in here in my kitchen and we're making a video today. I'm going to turn it over to my wife Jaimie. She's going to show you what we call our hay box. And this is how one of the ways we keep food warm. So we'll turn it over to her and we'll show you how it works.
Okay, shalom. Hello, and today I am excited about this new, well, it's not new. It's an old way of cooking, but it's new to me. And it's called a hay box, and it's only called a hay box because they used to use hay, like literal hay that you would feed your animals, to cook their food, and I'll tell you how. First off, if you put the camera down here, I have my cooler, and then I have some cast iron sitting on top because it's heavy, and it's pressing the lid down tight as tight as it will go. So I'm going to open this up, and you'll see this in action. This is a type of cooking that uses no heat. It's just basically holding all the heat inside my cooler. So I open it up.
What time did you put this in here?
I put it in here about, about 9:30 this morning. So it's 4:15 now, so it's been most of the day. And I've got a heavy wool blanket stuffed in here. I'm going to take that out. And I've got another cast iron skillet in here weighting my lid down so that it holds my lid tight on my pot. Wow, that's hot. I can hardly even take that off without my pot holder here. Okay, so this is my stock pot, and what I'm making right now in here is some stock. We butchered a lamb, so we've got some stock bones, and I wanted to make some stock for soup. So I'm going to pull this out of here, and it's very hot. See how I had all my towels tucked in around my pot?
And normally they would use hay for that?
Yes, and this will all make sense. This is insulation.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to open this up. Wow, look at that. It's like super steamy. It's really hot still. And like I said, I put this in at 9:30 this morning. It's almost 4:15, so good majority of the day, and it's steaming. So after you've seen me pull my pot out, you probably deduce what I'm trying to do here. I'm using it as a slow cooker. You know, we don't have electricity, so we don't have crock pots. In the wintertime,
Yeah, those light switches right there do not work.
in the wintertime, I used my wood stove over there, and sometimes I would put a trivet on top of it with a Dutch oven or a pot or whatever if I wanted to slow cook some soup. I would do it over there on my cook's wood stove there. So I was thinking, what am I going to do in the summer, because I don't want to use a lot of propane. You know, we're trying to cut down on that as much as possible. And I thought, well, how am I going to cook beans? How am I going to cook dry beans? How am I going to make stock? And all those things without going outside and building a big fire and feeding the fire and making sure that it's at the right temperature this whole time. And anyway, I found this, and it's genius. I found it on YouTube. And basically, it's an old-fashioned style of cooking, and it was used a lot during World War II, I found. Basically, all you're doing is bringing your pot to a rolling boil. So whatever ingredients you have, whether it's beans, whether it's soup, whether maybe it's a roast, anything that you can have a liquid in. So basically anything that you would put in a crock pot. You can bring your ingredients to a rolling boil around your meat maybe. I did a guinea. We butchered a guinea a couple weeks ago, and I did this in the hay box. You want to bring your ingredients to a rolling boil. Make sure it's really a rolling boil and not just simmering, but a good rolling boil. Put your lid on tight, and I weighted my lid down because you can see this bone was kind of bouncing up and down. So I had to put a cast iron pot on top to hold my lid on tight. And then I put it in here, and I packed my towels around it, put my blanket in on top, and closed the lid, and it cooked in there just like a crock pot all day long. Very without cool. Any electricity. And it took about maybe 10 or 15 minutes of cooking or bringing my my stock to a rolling boil on the stove. So 10 to 15 minutes of using my propane versus all day cooking to get that slow cooked flavor. That is very exciting for me. So anyway.
Me too.
So, and I'd never heard about this before. I've never heard of anyone doing it personally. But I guess that it's become a new movement now in Africa. There's people that are doing it in Africa. There's somebody who makes some kind of an insulated bag. I forget what it's called. And they donate the proceeds to help hunger in Africa. Well, if you want to do that, that's awesome. You know, maybe I'll eventually buy one of those one day.
But you can do this.
But this works just as good. There's people out there that make their insulation from the styrofoam pellets, and they make a bag of pellets, and then they put a bag on the bottom and one on top. But honestly, I don't know why you would need to go to all that extra effort. You can just use towels or extra oven mitts or pot holders, and my heavy wool blanket works awesome.
So we did an all day cook, an all day slow cook inside this cooler, insulated with towels, and it didn't cost us an all day's worth of propane. It saved on energy, and it's steaming hot. And
so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pull my stock bones out of here and pull my whatever lamb I have. See, I've got a lot of just extra lamb bits, and it's just falling right off the bone, just like it would
if you'd cooked it
came
all
out
day.
of a crock pot. It's still really hot. But and then what I'm going to do is make some soup with this and then boil it up, stick it back in there, and then it's going to cook all night. And then we're going to our gathering for Shabbat, and I'll just put the cooler in the truck and take it with me and open it up when we get there, and it'll be nice and hot.
Nice hot soup on Shabbat. And that's awesome.
And the other advantage I see is that, you know, we don't have electricity, so we're not having air conditioning in the summer. Cooking inside during the summer gets really hot because you're warming up your house, which is already warm. So you don't want to cook inside too much during the summer, and I try to limit that as much as possible. So using this method, I can heat something up in the morning, the coolest part of the day, put it in the cooler and forget about it, and it's not heating up my house anymore after that. And then I pull it out and have a warm dinner.
Very cool. All right, so there you've seen it. You've seen it yourself. The hay box here on Ethan Mountain. This is what we're doing to slow cook our food without using a whole ton of energy to do it. So I'll leave it at that. Hope that's inspired you. Go home, read your Bible. Thanks.